Well, one day, Joe and Bob and Dave were hiking in a wilderness area when they came upon a large, raging, violent river. And they needed to get to the other side, but had no idea how to do so. So Joe decided to pray to God, saying, "Please, God, give me the strength to cross this river." Poof. God gave him big arms and strong legs, and he was able to swim across the river in about 2 hours, although he almost drowned a couple times in the process. Seeing this, Dave prayed to God, saying, "Please, God, give me the strength and the tools to cross this river." Poof. God gave him a rowboat, and he was able to row across the river in about an hour, after almost capsizing the boat a couple of times. So Bob had seen how this all worked out for the other two, so he also decided to pray to God, saying, "Please, God, give me the strength and the tools and the intelligence to cross this river." Poof. God turned him into a woman. She looked at the map, hiked upstream a couple of 100 yards, then walked across the bridge. There's a women's march coming. Thanks for laughing. Well, today, again, is our celebration of a very special person, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And it's so special to me that this is his actual birthday. So I wanted to highlight his life for you, and many of this you might already know, but I think it's just valuable for us to just revisit it and just be in that, to me, awe of what he accomplished. So he was born on January 15th, 1929 in Atlanta, Georgia. He was born as Michael Luther King, but later changed his name to Martin. I don't know if you knew that. I did not know that. Martin Luther King attended segregated public schools in Georgia, graduating from high school at the age of 15. He received a BA degree in 1948 from Morehouse College in Atlanta, from which both his father and his grandfather had graduated. He then studied theology for 3 years at Crozer Theological Seminary in Pennsylvania and enrolled in graduate studies at Boston University, where he received a doctoral degree in 1955. In Boston, he met and married Coretta Scott, and they had 2 sons and 2 daughters. In 1954, Martin Luther King became a Baptist pastor at a church in Montgomery, Alabama. He was a strong worker for civil rights for African Americans. King was, by this time, a member of the executive committee of the NAACP. He accepted the leadership of the first great African American nonviolent demonstration of contemporary times in the United States, the infamous bus boycott in Montgomery, Alabama, that opposed the city's policy of racial segregation on the public transit system that lasted 382 days. That boycott was instrumental in the Supreme Court of the United States declaring unconstitutional the laws requiring segregation on buses. During these days of boycott, King was arrested, his home was bombed, he was subjected to personal abuse, and his family was threatened. In the 11-year period between 1957 and 1968, King traveled over 6 million miles and spoke over 2,500 times, appearing wherever there was injustice, protest, and action, and meanwhile, he wrote 5 books as well as numerous articles. In these years, he led a massive nonviolent protest in Birmingham, Alabama, that caught the attention of the entire world, providing what he called a coalition of conscience and inspiring his letter from a Birmingham jail. He planned the drives in Alabama for the registration of blacks as voters. He directed the peaceful march on Washington, D.C. of 250,000 people, to whom he delivered his address, "I Have a Dream." He conferred with President John F. Kennedy and campaigned for President Lyndon B. Johnson. He was arrested upwards of 20 times and assaulted at least 4 times. He was awarded 5 honorary degrees, was named Man of the Year by Time magazine in 1963, and became not only the symbolic leader of African Americans, but also a world figure. At the age of 35, Martin Luther King Jr. was the youngest man to have received the Nobel Peace Prize. When notified of his selection, he announced that he would turn over the prize money of $54,123 to the furtherance of the civil rights movement. On the evening of April 4th, 1968, while standing on the balcony of his hotel room in Memphis, Tennessee, where he was to lead a protest march in sympathy with striking garbage workers of that city, he was assassinated. So I just take a moment to honor this brilliant, brilliant light in this world. And it moves me every time I hear about his life and the stand that he took. And so today, I really wanted to bring his words to us again. And some of these quotes you may have heard before, some maybe you have not. But it just feels so appropriate for us to bring the wisdom that the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. shared many years ago that's so relevant to where we are today. So what I did was I picked about 6 quotes and I just did little couplets. And so I just want to share them with you. And as I share them with you, I just invite you to just let the words in and reflect upon them for yourself, what they mean to you. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. The time is always right to do what's right. So Martin Luther King Jr. asserted that the measure of our character, of who we are as a person, is what we do in controversy and challenge. Now, right now, it seems to me that we are living in a time of controversy and challenge. That is probably one of the greatest understatements I've said in a while. And so, do you think that his words can touch us? Because what he is talking about is how do we respond or react during these times? When we hear the news on the television, when we hear someone talking about how they voted and maybe it was different than how we voted. You know, what bubbles up in you? And basically what he's saying is, in the midst of controversy and challenge, what's your consciousness? And so these are just questions I want you to know. As I was preparing this, I was just really imploring myself. What's my consciousness in the midst of what's unfolding right now? That feels uncertain, that feels challenging, and to know that the time is always right to do what's right. And what is right? Well, for me, my benchmark of what is right is, does it come from love? Is how I'm responding right now in the midst of the challenge and the controversy. Am I responding from love? And I know, for me, I'll just be honest, that's sometimes a difficult call. So where are we standing? Where are we standing? Because I say, where are we standing? Are we standing in truth, capital T truth? And for me, there's not a whole lot we can say. I mean, capital T truth gets a little tricky. But I think there are a couple of capital T truths in the world. One is there is no power greater than love in this world. And that I don't care how somebody voted or how they look or what they do, or they are divine and whole. So, where are we standing? And why would we choose to be love? Well, because we are love. That's why. And I know that you know in your heart of hearts, when you stand in your truth, that you are love and that love is the greatest power, that you feel a power within your being, a confidence and a clarity and a peace. Yeah. We feel that, and we want to see that out here, don't we? So the responsibility lies in these times of controversy and challenge to stand in our truth from love. So, couplet number 2. Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Our lives begin to end. And what resonated for me when he said that is, what else do we have in our life but our integrity? And our greatest integrity, I believe, is that we're love. And folks, I'm speaking to a room of people. I know you know this. And I know that I work with it every day to move beyond my intellectual understanding of it, to be it in the world. So, our lives begin to end the day we become silent. Well, what came to me is, yes, there's this march that's coming up on Saturday. And I'm going to go. And if anybody wants to go with me, I'd love for you to join me. And I felt like I wanted to presence this because as we march, as we peacefully protest, we are expressing our First Amendment rights, right? And the thing that I really want and hold for this march, now when you read about it on the Facebook page, it doesn't say that it's against anything. But my prayer is that all of us come to this march for something. That we don't come and peacefully protest against something. That we come and we join hands together, men, women. It's not just for women. There's some pretty enlightened men in this room that know their love and know that all people are one. That we stand in our knowing of what's true. We stand in the truth and we walk. It's a way for us to say, this is what I stand for. This is a visual representation. This is me being love in action. And to me, what a great way to honor the legacy of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. That man moved his feet. He moved his feet. And he realized that injustice anywhere is a threat for justice everywhere, because to me that is another way to say, folks, we're one. That we are the whole, and that anything impacts a portion of that whole impacts us all. And the tricky thing is when it happens across the world, sometimes we don't immediately feel it. But that doesn't mean it doesn't impact us. And those of us that are sensitive to kind of energies, in the world, we can feel it. We can feel it. It feels off. We feel unsettled. Because injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And we know that. Love thy neighbor as thyself is what Jesus was quoted as saying. And, I wear the safety pin. I don't wear it often here because I don't think I'm going to, I don't feel compelled to wear it to Unity of Gaithersburg. I feel more compelled to wear it out in the world. And it's not that I hold other people as weak. It's just that I want to stand in my truth as love. And this is just one representation that I can do it. And that I'm willing to take a stand for it. So I think it's just an opportunity for us to look in our own hearts as we celebrate Martin Luther King Jr. today. Where can you take a stand in love when you see an injustice being done? From your knowing that injustice anywhere threatens justice everywhere. And so finally, darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear. And we've talked about this before, but we can never raise consciousness in the world. We can't raise it from a lower consciousness. We can never solve a problem or a challenge from the energy from which it was created, ever. And I love what Michelle Obama, and I just want to represent her infamous statement. When others go low, we go high. See, it's the call for us to be love. It's a call for us to stand in our truth. Because the energy that creates separation, which is the result, is what we call evil. Remember, evil is just a result of a belief in separateness. That's all it is. And we cannot continue to hold separateness and create an awareness of oneness. Oneness already is, folks. We already are one. We don't have to create that. But the experience of it, yes, we do. The claiming of it, the expressing of it, is ours to do. And I'm looking at a room of beautiful, good-hearted people that know this truth. So, can we stick with love? And that vision that came to your heart during meditation, it takes courage. It takes courage to stand in your vision, especially if it's contrary to what's showing up out here. And that's why I love community. Another plug for community, that you can come here on Sunday and you can fill your tank so that you can walk out these doors and you can stand in your knowing of the truth of what you are as love, of every person more readily. And I know that sometimes, folks, it's challenging. I get challenged all the time. But that is why we come in community, so that we can join together and we can hold each other up and we can behold that infinite love that we are in each other. And we can call it forth. And let's release the burden, folks, of the fear and resistance that doesn't belong to us. Because I think we can take it on. And that's also weight that keeps us from raising our consciousness. So, this week, if you want to march on Saturday with me, I've got a girlfriend flying in from California, and we're going to go. And if you'd like to go, we can meet here at 8 o'clock and get on the metro, and let's do it. Woohoo! You think? Okay, so 8 o'clock might be too late to get on the metro. Maybe we can do 7 o'clock. I'm committed. I'm committed. Yeah. Yeah. So remember the legacy of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, folks. That reminder that love's the greatest power. There is no such thing as hate when we don't claim it. And so if you do go to the march this week, I just invite you to claim what you're for. Stand in what you're for. Be the love. Be that light. Yeah. And let's come together in community this year, folks. I think the circumstances of the world are calling us to come together, calling faith communities to come together and take a stand for truth, for love. And we can make an impact. And again, I am so open to hearing your thoughts about how you see that unfolding. So let's affirm the truth together. I take a stand for truth and live from love. And so it is.